Hello everybody and welcome back to another cigar review. Today we have a cigar that really I'm reviewing out of interest more than out of helpfulness, I suppose, because this isn't a cigar that you're likely to be able to get. This cigar, I went into my local tobacconist in Manchester, Aston's, which is a brilliant shop. The staff are brilliant and they have a great selection. And they had recently gone to a storage unit that they owned from a while back, and they found a selection of cigars that were from the 1980s. Now, these are all machine-made cigars that they found. One of those was Rittmeester Slims from the 1980s, known as Royal Dutch Elites. Today, I bought a tin of those, and they will be reviewed in the future, I'm sure. I may even do a comparison video versus the modern Royal Dutch Elites. I think that'd be a very interesting video to do. But they had some other stuff from John Player's special, a cigar called the Imperial Panatella. But what really caught my eye was the cigar that's in my pocket here, you can see it. That was made in West Germany. Now, for those of you who need a quick little history lesson, when World War II ended, Soviet Union happened. They invaded Germany on the east. The West invaded Germany through the west, and they had split the country in half afterwards. They said, "Here's one half. Here's the other half." One half went to Russia, the Soviet Union. That was East Germany. The other half went to. The other half was initially controlled by America, Britain, and France, and eventually got made into one united country called West Germany. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and with that, the fall of the Soviet Union and the Germanys reunited. Now, on the box that this cigar came from, that's in my pocket, it was a little box that had 20 of these cigars in, and on the box it had written at the very bottom, "Rolled in West Germany," which dates the cigars I bought, the Rittmeester Slims, and these to at least 32 years old. No, older, 34, 35 years old. And here it is, packaged in this, like, oh, I've dropped it on the floor. Oi! Packaged in a aluminium foil with a little red band. The band reads cigars up and down it, and then it says BSB. I don't know if you can see that. Just a second. Apologies about that. We're back. We'll shift the camera a little bit. So yeah, this cigar I believe is 6 inches long. The ring gauge, I can't tell immediately. I am going to compare it to a cigar whose ring gauge I do know. The cigar shop didn't know much about these, and I've done my research online, and I can't see much online about them. It's a reasonably long cigar. It cost me £3, which, that's for the size of cigar, is quite cheap. I've been unable to find anything about a company called BSB. I found maybe one company in Europe, from West Germany, doing just a little bit of research. So if anybody knows anything about these, let me know. But we're gonna unwrap it. We're gonna have a look, see what it looks like, and have a look at the ring gauge, and I'll let you know. We'll have a look together. This is the first time I'm smoking this, so it's gonna be. So there's a little ring pull tab. I'm just gonna pull that all the way around, and here we have it. Here is the cigar in question. Feels all right. Slightly spongy, but very reasonable. It is definitely about 6 inches long. I compared it against the Rittmeester Slim, which is 5 1/3, and it is longer. Ring gauge wise, it's not very fat, as you can see. And I'm going to compare it now to the J. Cortez Club, which is a 32 ring gauge. So just a second. We're out of frame. So these are the J. Cortez Clubs. I did a review on these the other day. And if I compare the ring gauge of a club to this, these are thinner. I think these might be a 28. Perhaps a 30. That's the club. I think a 28, maybe a 30 at a push. Very little on the nose. Now, cigars that are this old, 30, potentially 40 years old, they are interesting. This has been stored under the right conditions for it to be a good smoke. But tobacco, the way aging tobacco works is you take the tobacco, the cigar, you lay it down. Over time, micro-fermentation happens, and there's a bit of a bell curve. And at some point in that age, the cigar becomes its best at the very top. And then it starts getting worse. Slowly, it starts getting worse. Some cigars you can age for too long. And then, what are you going to do? Now, I have quite a lot of hope about this. Very little on the nose. Mild, woody cigar. It is pre-cut, as you can see. The tobacco in there, as well, looks very, very tightly packed. Let's give it a dry draw. That is well packed. And immediately, you can taste the age on even through the dry draw, just pulling air through the tobacco. You can tell that it's old tobacco. There's almost a mustiness about it. And that's something that I get from Cohiba. Now, this is not tasted like a Cohiba. It won't taste like a Cohiba. But that kind of mustiness I get on a Cohiba cigar. I'm very interested to see how this is, because if this is good, if it burns well, if it tastes good, and it has a long shelf, a long burn time, for £3, I may end up, because they only had another box. They had one open box that I bought this out of, and they had another box of 20. That would make this £60 for 20 cigars, which are, they're not small. 6 inches is 6 inches is big, despite what you've been told. 6 inches is big. And, a thin cigar. I'm yapping. Let's get this thing lit. I have my lighter. We are going to use a torch on it from a little bit away. I'm looking forward to smoking this cigar. Let's see. There we are. We're lit. So I have to assume this is machine rolled. With the packaging, the lacquer band. So it is, right now, 4 minutes past 4. Yeah, 4 minutes past 4, on light. I'm hoping for 40 minutes, I think. For a 6-inch long cigar of this thickness, 40 minutes. If we get longer, we get longer. Let's take a first initial draw. Sweet. Almost, honestly, a kind of like almost a zestiness. Like a citrusy zestiness to the cigar. Slight woodiness. Little nuttiness there as well. And that musty flavour. It's not bad. It's kind of in a good way. If anyone drinks wine, if you have a very aged wine that has that same note, there's a note that goes with aged things. When you sit something down, especially natural product, it kind of just acquires this kind of old flavour, I suppose. So far, initial light, this is very pleasant. Very pleasant. Mild, yes. But just a nice little zesty sweetness. Honestly, like a citric sweetness. A little bit of woodiness, a little bit of nuttiness. It's lovely. That ash, by the way, bright white. The thing with these cigars as well, and old cigars, machine-made cigars, they were so much better made back in the 1980s and whatnot. Because back then, they didn't shoot air through the cigars. What they do now is they'll roll the cigar with the tobacco, pack it, and then they'll basically expand the tobacco with air. What that does is it creates these air channels in tobacco so it burns quickly. With these, it's just the tobacco's just rolled up. Now, a few brands obviously still make machine-made cigars and don't do that. D'Olifant being the main one, but all machine-made cigar manufacturers do that these days, broadly. Like 99% of them. Back then they didn't, because they couldn't. They didn't have the technology to actually puff up the tobacco. Really nice so far. It's disappointing in the aspect of I'm smoking this, and I'm likely to get the tobacconist to keep that other box just at the back away, so that I can buy this when I have a little bit of money. £60 isn't a lot, but it's Christmas. I've got other expenses when I can buy them. So unless you know me personally, it's unlikely, or you find these somewhere, you'd maybe know about them. It's unlikely you'll ever get to try one of these, which is why this video it's a review, but it's more of an interesting look at this type of thing. But we're going to follow the normal review script. We'll smoke down probably to about halfway with a machine-made cigar. If anything changes before then, I'll come back, but to about halfway, so to about to there, and I'll let you know how it's smoked, any flavour changes and such. So we'll see you then. And we're back. Halfway through. It's burnt quicker than I expected it to based off the draw. I haven't been smoking it particularly quickly. It is now 22 minutes past 4. So about 15 minutes to smoke it down to about halfway. Which I think the ring gauge here is the downfall. I think if this was just a couple of ring gauge bigger, a 32 or even a 34, we're looking at a cigar that easily lasts 45 minutes. But the ring gauge here, obviously it's quite small, there's not that much tobacco to burn. So even though it's tightly packed, it's still burning reasonably quickly. That said, the flavour has been completely fine. Same notes, a little bit of white pepper now, you're getting a little bit of spice. But it's just a very reasonable smoke. Again, you have to think about it this way. This is a cigar that I'm never going to be able to buy again. If I buy the 20, the box of 20, I'm never going to be able to buy these again. These are vintage, old, cigars that have been put away in a storage cellar and then pulled out 35 years later and gone. Here we are. So they are, a bit of history. And the fact that I'm sat here on a Friday afternoon smoking a bit of history is incredible, really. I'm not one to collect. I don't do buying something, just sit it on a shelf and look at it and go, yeah, that's a thing I own. If I'm buying something, whiskey, cigars, I'm buying it to smoke them or to drink it because that's what I want to do. I'm not buying it to just sit in a cupboard or to sit on a shelf. I bought those Ritmeester Panatellas. There'll be a review of those at some point. And I bought them because I liked them. I bought this to try, and I like it. So I'll probably buy another 20, and I'll smoke them. And I'll probably keep the little box it came in. It was a nice little bit of history, that box. Same as I'll keep the little tin of Ritmeesters when I finish with those, because it's a nice little bit of history. But I'm going to smoke the things I buy. I don't understand people who buy cigars and don't smoke them. I really don't. Because the whole point is to have a little bit of enjoyment, to sit down and watch some TV or whatever and enjoy yourself. And that is what's happening here. I'm sat down, it's a Friday afternoon, I'm not working today. I've got a little bit of housework to do later on. Before I do that, I'm sat here, smoking jacket, shirt, watching a bit of TV and having a cigar. You know, and that's what it's all about. I bought a bunch of cigars that arrived today. If you want me to do a little video to show you what I bought, I can do. I'm happy to do that. I might even do it in the next video. I might even have a little look. Here's what I bought before we do the review. Next review, we'll see how I feel. But yeah, about 15, 18 minutes or whatever. 25 past now, so about 20 minutes to get about halfway. I'm hoping for at least another 15 to 20. We'll see. I'll come back when the cigar's down at the end where my fingers are, and I'll give you my final review score. Just a bit more chatting because you can't get these. You can't. They're from the 1980s. But we'll see anyway. See you soon. We're down at the very end of the cigar now. As you can see, we're down at the very end. It is now 20 to 5. So it's been about 35 minutes of smoking. And we're down at the end. And I'm about ready to put it down. It has been a reasonably enjoyable cigar. I think it's an old cigar. It's machine made. I wasn't expecting amazing, brilliant flavour from it. I'm gonna put that down now. But £3. You know, I'm always looking for value. I'm always looking for the next best budget smoke. Something that I can sit down with and just smoke and enjoy while I'm watching something. Because that's what cigar smoking is. To be honest, for many people, cigar smoking is a chance to sit back and just relax. And sometimes you don't need a Churchill. You don't need a £50 cigar. You don't need a £30 cigar or anything like that. You just need something that's enjoyable. Something that's going to burn well, that's going to taste alright, that you can sit back and smoke. And that's what that was. You know? And it was cool that it's an old cigar and that it's from the 80s and it was rolled in West Germany and all of that. I've got the little bit of aluminium foil that it's rolled in. It's the same type of foil Villagers are rolled in. Villager number 7s. And it burnt very reasonably. I think in terms of price, you know, £3 a cigar, it's fine. It's a bit cheaper than like a Villager, which is about £4 a cigar. I think a Villager is slightly better flavour-wise, but obviously this lasts about the same amount of time as well. Which is why Villager are still one of the biggest cigar manufacturers in Europe. But this little West German cigar, it was nice. And I hope you all enjoyed watching me smoke it and talk about it a bit and thought it was interesting. Obviously, these type of very old cigars I don't get very often, so it's always good to show everyone else. As for a review score, I think it has to land at a 7. Just value-wise, smoked well, tasted well. Wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was better than average. Like, I've had some very meh average cigars that are around that price. Like smaller cigars. Yeah, very reasonable. Very reasonable indeed. I don't have much more to say. So with that, I hope everyone has a good weekend or good rest of the week whenever you're watching this. And as always, stay smoky. See you later.